People often feel a magnetic pull towards those who practice emotional minimalism, the ability to stay grounded, clear, and steady without drowning in emotional noise, because it creates a powerful psychological and relational contrast. And here's why the pull is so strong. Firstly, emotional minimalists feels like calm in a chaotic world. Because most people live in this constant swirl of thoughts, reactions, pressures, and social noise. And someone, on the other hand, who carries emotional simplicity, not coldness, but clarity, stands out like a quiet room in a loud building. These people, they don't try to over-explain, overreact, or emotionally spill their energy. It's like when you're around them, you feel like you're exhaling. Secondly, they project inner safety. When someone's emotions are intentional and grounded, others can't help but feel safe in that kind of presence, where they're not judged, overwhelmed. And people don't really like feeling responsible for somebody else's emotional storms. And when you see that someone is a safe place, it's easy to feel that pull. That sense of stability is something that people subconsciously crave. Third, their emotional self-containment can feel mysterious to those who don't possess the same traits. And people, they can be naturally drawn to that which they don't instantly understand. And of course, emotional minimalists, they don't put everything on display. Their thoughts, feelings, the core of who they are, these things unfold slowly. Their motivations, they unfold slowly. And that restraint does create the sense of depth. And everyone knows that depth can be magnetic. Not to mention, it gives people that space to wonder, what's behind the calm? How did they stay so composed? What would it feel like to be closer to the inner world? Noise, flaunting, that doesn't really captivate people. Mystery, no, that's attention grabbing. Fourth, they make space instead of taking it. People who practice emotional minimalism, they don't try to impose themselves, assert themselves, crowd out your space. They settle in themselves and they create space for others to join in. And someone who doesn't emotionally clutter the room, they do leave more room for others to breathe, speak, and just be themselves. And when you're in that presence, you tend to feel seen rather than overwhelmed. You tend to feel heard rather than competed with. And that presence makes people feel valued. Not because any grand gestures are being made, but quiet steadiness can be very inviting. Fifth, emotional regulation comes across and reads as confidence. Even if it's subtle, emotional minimalism signals a few things like self-awareness, self-control, emotional maturity, the ability to navigate life without spiraling. If you look on social media, the ones that get most attention always seem to have some kind of drama. But those people, while they might be attention grabbers on social media, in real life, a lot of these people, if they portray those same traits, it's unlikely you'll feel welcome and comfortable in their presence for too long. These emotional and stable, grounded traits, those things do get interpreted as strength, and humans are biologically drawn to that which is emotionally strong. And six, they offer something rare, which is quiet intimacy. So emotional minimalists, they connect with intention rather than impulse. They don't tend to rush, they don't tend to force, they tend to let things unfold. And that kind of approach, way of being, It creates this form of intimacy that's rooted in presence, attention, honesty, and calm energy. It's a slower, deeper warmth that feels refreshing in a world that's full of emotional clutter. And finally, emotional minimalists, they don't tend to create drama. Instead, their presence tends to dissolve it. People who carry emotional minimalism don't amplify chaos, they soften it. Being around them often regulates others. Your thoughts feel clearer, your emotions feel lighter, and your nervous system settles. And humans gravitate towards anything that makes their internal world feel more manageable. Because people often don't know how to handle and regulate their own emotions. If someone's presence helps do that for them, you can't help but be drawn to that. So why do people who embody emotional minimalism, why do they tend to attract others? Why is there that magnetic pull? Well, because it offers what most people lack: clarity, steadiness, and a sense of spaciousness.